Hey there, sports fans. Today we ask the question, did Dak Prescott run Amari Cooper out of Dallas? We dive into that next. Since OTA'S started this week, Dak Prescott has been front and center at Cowboys training camp. Dak says he's never been healthier, while CD says he's put on 10 pounds of muscle and grown half an inch. While all of that is interesting, it's what Dak has said about CD that caught our attention. Dak revealed that he asked CD Lamb, and for those of you living under a rock, Lamb was the Cowboys' 2020 first-round draft choice and is their de facto number one receiver now that Amari Cooper is gone, to move his locker next to Prescott's so they could have more football conversations. He also stated that Lamb is my receiver until I'm done playing. Dak's memory is clearly short, though, given his success with Cooper as his primary target. In a March 5th broadcast on Fox Sports Radio, Colin Cowherd provided these stats. In 53 games with Amari on the Cowboys roster, Dak is 28-16 when playing with Cooper and sports an impressive 102.9 passer rating. He is, however, a lowly 3 wins against 6 losses with an 86.1 rating when Amari hasn't been available to him. Dak appears to be a much different quarterback with Cooper on the field. Enter Cowboys owner and GM Jerry Jones. The first signs that the Cowboys were considering moving on from Cooper came earlier this year. In a January 21 interview during his call-in show with the Cowboys' flagship radio station, 105.3 The Fan, Jones was asked about Cooper, specifically his guaranteed money for 2022. Jones would say, "I don't have any comment on Cooper's contract." He would go on to refer to the Cowboys' 23-17 playoff loss to the San Francisco 49ers in the wildcard round, saying, "I thought that we were playing early when we did make something happen. I thought Cooper had a big part in that." For the record, Cooper caught 6 passes on 10 targets for just 64 yards and Dallas's lone touchdown. So if Cooper was a big part of that, how do the Cowboys find themselves without the 5-time Pro Bowler on their roster? Was there a rift between Dak and Amari? And if so, when did it start and what caused it? Let's turn back the clock to 2018. After Dak's impressive 13-3 2016 rookie campaign, the Cowboys struggled in his sophomore season, missing the playoffs after finishing with a 9-7 record. The 2018 season didn't start off much better, with Dallas sporting a dismal 3-4 record before trading for Cooper during their bye week. The Cowboys would lose their first game after their week off before Cooper was able to get up to speed and join the team. They would go 7-1 in their final 8 contests to win the NFC East title for the second time in 3 years. Here's where things may have started to go wrong between Dak and Amari. Cooper was widely credited with saving both the Cowboys and Dak's season. This coming at a time when Dak was still considered to be a lesser QB than others taking during the same draft year, constantly being considered the third best behind the LA Rams' Jared Goff and Philadelphia Eagles' Carson Wentz. Perhaps something went wrong the following season. In a December 19, 2019 game against Wentz and the 7-7 Eagles, the Cowboys, also sitting at 7-7, were trailing 17-9 and facing 4th and 8 with a minute 21 remaining. Cooper inexplicably headed to the sidelines on the biggest play of Dallas' season. Dak would be forced to throw a Hail Mary to the diminutive Tavon Austin on what would be their final offensive play of the game, essentially giving the NFC East title to the Eagles. For the record, Amari had 4 catches for just 24 yards and clearly didn't seem to be himself. In Cooper's defense, though, it was revealed in the offseason that he had been playing through a number of injuries. But perhaps the final straw came this past season after the 12-5 Cowboys were unceremoniously bounced from the playoffs by the Jimmy Garoppolo-led San Francisco 49ers in the aforementioned 23-17 playoff loss. It was reported that Amari confronted Dak on his poor play and claimed, "You're Kirk Cousins." Prescott went 23 of 43 for 254 yards, throwing his lone TD pass to Cooper. The Cowboys QB would also throw a third-quarter interception that would give the Niners a 23-7 lead after they scored a touchdown on the very next play. That dust-up, however, has been contested by more than just a few people. On March 10th of this year, Mike Fisher, Cowboys Sports Illustrated insider, reported that there was no actual proof that the altercation happened. He stated that it did not sound like anything that Cooper would say. Fisher reported that he spoke with multiple individuals who were in the locker room after the game, all of them denying that the exchange took place. However, 2 days later, on March 12th, the former first-round pick and 5-time Pro Bowler was traded to the Cleveland Browns, along with the Cowboys' 6th-round pick for the Browns' 5th-rounder. The Dallas front office claimed it needed to do something before Cooper's $20 million contract became fully guaranteed on March 20th. Still not convinced? How about some bonus guesses? Who remembers draft night on 2020 when the Cowboys selected Lamb 17th overall? Jerry Jones raised some eyebrows when he said that Lamb would wear the number 88 jersey, a jersey that, in Cowboys lore, is highly regarded and normally reserved for the best receivers, guys like Drew Pearson, Michael Irvin, and Dez Bryant. We don't know if Cooper had ever been offered or even wanted 88, and we'll likely never know, but that could not have sat well with a former Raider. And then we have reports this year that Dak was closely involved in the draft process when it was revealed that he had a phone call with the 88th overall pick. There's that number again. South Alabama receiver Jalen Tolbert. It's clear the Cowboys are trying to avoid the mess that the Green Bay Packers created for themselves when they pretty much ignored Aaron Rodgers' wishes when it came to who he wanted on the field catching his passes. Let's finish with this. Going back to the trade, the Cowboys were so anxious to move on from Cooper that they essentially tipped their hands hours after the season came to an end. It was so widely known throughout the league that Amari wasn't coming back that Jones and company couldn't find anyone willing to pay market value for Cooper. The Cowboys were roundly criticized for getting so little for one of the league's best receivers, a player that Cowboys themselves gave up a first-round pick for just 4 years earlier. In comparison, the Cowboys' division rival Philadelphia Eagles gave up the 18th and 101st overall picks on the first night of the draft to get A.J. Brown from the Tennessee Titans. New England would also get Devontae Parker and a 5th-rounder for their 3rd-round pick from the Miami Dolphins. It should be noted here that in his 7 years in the league, Cooper has 1,000 or more receiving yards in 5 of those 7 seasons. He joins Davante Adams, Stephon Diggs, Mike Evans, and DeAndre Hopkins as the only NFL receivers to have at least 7,000 receiving yards and 45 receiving touchdowns since 2015. Cooper's impressive numbers include 517 catches for 7,076 yards and 46 TDs in 108 career regular season games. Speaking of Adams, he would wind up in Las Vegas in a trade with the Green Bay Packers earlier this year. The Packers got both a 1st and a 2nd-round pick for the receiver, making the Browns deal for Cooper look like a steal. So if things really did go bad in Dallas between Dak and Amari, what started it all? We may never know, but it will most certainly be interesting to see how Cooper plays in Cleveland and how Dak and CD perform together in Dallas for the 2022 season and beyond.